Hello guys, Airfix have just re-released their Handley Page Victor K.2 SR2 in 1/72 scale, and as you can see I have built this lovely kit before, and we're going to take a little look inside the box and do a kit review. Before we jump into the box, however, let's take a little look at the kit itself in its finished form. So this is one I built a few years ago, and as you can see it is an absolutely beautiful model. So we've got the option of flaps down and the air brake open there. We've also got the door open there as well. And let's take a look at the underside. The high-vis orange and fuel probes. So yeah, this definitely makes up into a beautiful model. And you can see that was my hand, so you get an idea of the size of the thing. This is a really good size. It's sort of the length and wingspan plus a bit more of a Lancaster. So yeah, really gorgeous model there. And now let's take a look at the box itself and what we have inside. So first off, we have the beautiful box art of the K.2 refueler, and you can see we've got some Buccaneers, and this would have been from the first Gulf War in '91. Really lovely box art there. And here we can see the 3 different scheme options, and you can see why I've bought a second one, because we have another scheme that we are going to do. And there's the CAD mock-ups there on the side. But let's take a look inside the box. Well, as you would expect, you have a huge bag of bits, followed by another huge bag of bits. We have our stencil placements, we have our decal sheet, and we have our instructions. Let's take a look at some of the plastic. So the first key bit to look at is the wing section. So you can see you've got this upper section which slots into the fuselage and is a single piece, and there we have some really nice crisp panel lines. And we've also got these structural pieces, which when we have a look at the instructions we shall see those in a bit more detail. And you know, as you can see from the kit that I've already built, they work really well. Here's the underside. Again, you've got some nice rivet detail there, and you've also got the option of having the flaps down, which we did on the earlier one. Having a look at the fuselage section, so you can see you've got the air brake open option, and we've got some nice crisp panels there. Again, looking at the underside, nice detailing there. We've also got some beautifully detailed cockpit areas, even though you are going to see almost none of it, but it's still nice to know that it's there. And here we have these fuselage sections for the extra fuel that goes in there, and obviously the bomb bay on the bomber version. Yeah, really good plastic there. Let's turn our attention to the instructions. So we have details about the aircraft in different languages, very typical of Airfix with their modern releases. We have our assembly icon instructions, all nicely color coded, which is great. And then on to the instructions. So we are building 2 seats, and then we're building 4 additional seats there. Then this instrument panel section and table comes together and attaches to the floor. We have our pedals, the seats going in for the crew, and then pilot and co-pilot there. And again, you've got the orange sections cooling out the stage before, which really does help you nicely to follow along. Then we turn our attention to the nose section of the undercarriage. You've got these beautifully detailed interior sidewalls there, and the way you build this, and you've got the option of painting and weathering very nicely indeed. This nose section ensures a really strong solid nose because you build that into the sidewall, and given the nose weight that's required for a tricycle undercarriage Victor, we do need that solid structure. Here we have our fuselage wall section, which attaches there to the front nose, and then we start onto the tailplane. Again, thinking about a strong undercarriage, we're building these 2, and you've got this section here which slots inside there and builds nicely to make that nice and strong. This then slots into there and on the sides, so reinforcing, making that undercarriage, like I say, really strong. Then the wheels go on, and yeah, then we put those to one side while we turn our attention to the wings. I really love the fitment and design of this. So obviously you've got a huge wingspan on this model, and you're going to need that structural integrity, and this internal spine works really well. The Airfix use this for the Vulcan kit as well. You create that frame that the wings then bolt onto, and it works really well. Then we have our upper section of the engines and the intakes there, so we can get those painted, and then we block those off with the fans. So on the other side of that you can see the jet fans there, and then the upper section goes on top, and this is where you get the first of the seams, which do need to be sort of sanded down, or filled and then sanded to get a really nice crisp finish, but otherwise that's all relatively good. Then we had this random side piece. I wasn't really sure on why that was necessary, but that's what Airfix have gone with. Possible, just trying to get the part count up. Then these sections here, we obviously want to avoid any seams on these sections, and what Airfix have done rather nicely is created them as separate pieces which slot into these gaps here. So I really liked the engineering of this section, and yeah, they look really good. And then we are working on the undercarriage section for the wings, and again we've got the upper surface and the side walls, and the detailing there and the way that that's assembled gives us the ability to really create some nice weathering and really make that detail pop. Then we're working on the jet exhausts, and yeah, they then fit onto the wing further down. Then we're attaching our upper and lower wing sections to the frame before we turn our attention back to the fuselage. So we put the nose undercarriage in, we've got our perspex windows going in, Bombay section, and we've got the option of having that open, and you can see all of the interior stuff that goes in there. Obviously, if you're not doing that variant, then you would skip that. And here is where we have the option of the air brakes open, which we did on the one we've already built. And here you can see that there and how that all comes together. Then the interior that we built earlier slots into there. And then our fuselage sections come together. And then the upper wings that we built earlier slots onto there, and then we have this spine, which depending on which scheme we are doing depends on how we modify that to slot nicely onto there. And what I really loved is that these are natural panel lines, and this section slots into there nicely, so you avoid that awful seam that is so often the case with models. So I really like the engineering on that. The tailplane that we built earlier goes on, and then we have some further extension to the wings. And yeah, here you can see if we're building that open, that all slots on like so. If we're building it closed, then we just jump to this section here. Then the tail section comes on depending on which scheme we're going with. Then the lower sections of the wing go on like so. Then we move on to the undercarriage with the doors, jet exhausts, instrument panel and controls, air intakes. Then we've got the brakes open or closed. Then we move on to the external fuel tanks and the fuel probe there. The external pylons go on. Finally, the glass canopy goes on there. The antennae and stuff that we need, depending on the scheme we went with, attach on like so. And finally, we have the ladder, fuel probe, and extra antenna there. And we are done after 138 stages. You're probably thinking, where are the scheme instructions? Well, what Airfix have done is they have produced some separate colour callouts. So the reason I bought another one is because I want to do this scheme with the white underneath and the camouflage and the day glow orange fuel probes. So join me for the build video, because this is what we're going to be building. On the other side we have our scheme A. This is the one we've already built, and the box art version, and you can see Bahrain 1991, Desert Storm or Operation Granby. And our final option is based out of Peru in 1971, and you can see we've got the earlier roundel there, Operation Attune, and we've got the gloss white underside there. And because we have all of these different schemes, we have multiple stencil placement. And again, these are all called out separately, which is really good because it enables you to work out exactly what you're doing for which aircraft. And you can see scheme C has multiple. Oh no, I just have two of the same. Well, finally then, let's take a look at the decals. Now these are from Cartograph, and as you can see, the colour is absolutely beautiful. That day glow orange is really popping quite nicely. And yeah, depending on which scheme we are going with, we have all of our different stencils, roundels, and yeah, plenty of decal work to be getting on with. Very nice indeed. Well, there you have it then. Airfix's latest re-release, their Handley Page Victor. I really hope this has been a useful video. Do make sure you get the subscribe button on and join me for the build video where we build Scheme B of this beautiful kit. And also make sure you check out the other reviews, which will be coming very shortly following this, and that's of the Vulcan and the Valiant for the complete trio of V-bombers. And yes, I will be building another one of each of those. Okay, thanks very much, guys. Catch you on the next one. Bye.